Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys coming by the channel to check today's video out. We are going to be talking about how Bassmaster and the Bassmaster Elite Series has lost their prestige within the industry. This has been a topic that not only myself, but a lot of YouTubers have been discussing over the past 6 months due to a series of very poor managerial moves on the part of Bassmaster. So I want to delve into that a little bit deeper in today's video and also get your guys' opinion on it as well after we get done talking about it. Also, guys, I just wanted to extend, before we get started, a big thank you out there to everybody that's been helping support Intuitive Angling here. All you dudes out there that are subscribing to the channel and using the bookmark and all my tackle warehouse links to purchase your tackle that's in each video. A big thank you for me and my family, because you guys are the reason that the channel's on YouTube, and couldn't do it without your guys' help. So really appreciate that. Okay, guys, if you follow the channel here, and if you follow not just me, but a lot of bass fishing YouTubers, myself and a lot of YouTubers have been extremely critical of Bassmaster over the moves they've made over the past year or two, pretty much, but really this past year, that I want to get into a little bit in today's video. Now, before I start this, I always want to preface it saying that I have been the biggest fan of Bassmaster since they started, man. You guys that have watched the channel, you know, I've talked about this before. I was proudly wearing my Bassmaster patch as a little kid in grade school. Couldn't wait to get my pack of jelly worms for my annual membership. I became a life member back when I was in high school. You know, I made a career with Bassmaster for 25 years and qualified for 9 classics, won several Bassmaster Top 100 events, almost won the Bassmaster Classic. You know, I have been a fan and a loyal supporter of Bassmaster before most of these guys that are running the company today were even born, or they were still in diapers while I was doing it. So I want to preface this to say that when my opinion on this video is geared to wanting to help the organization, I'm not trying to undermine it. I'm not trying to tear it down. I want to try to offer my suggestion to it as somebody that has been a part of it, you know, for 50 years. So I wanted to clarify that. But anyway, everybody that has paid attention to bass fishing has known that Bassmaster has made a series of very, very poor moves within the management that has really severely impacted the public opinion of the organization, its ability to court and get sponsors, its enthusiasm amongst the tournament ranks, just a long line of different stuff out there. And the latest was this fact about how they have cut the payouts on the Elite Series back to nothing, basically $500 for 40th place next year in the Bassmaster Elite Series tournaments, which is a complete joke. So there's a lot of different stuff to that. Now, let's talk a little bit about what has happened here and, you know, how we've evolved to this point. Back when I started fishing Bassmaster, it was nothing but the invitationals. All you had was 6 tournaments. That was it. That's all Bassmaster had. And the top 35 of those 6 tournaments went to the Bassmaster Classic every year. And then starting in I believe it was 1989, they came up with the Bassmaster Top 100 circuit, where, you know, part of the classic qualifiers came out of the Bassmaster Top 100 circuit. Part of them came out of the Bassmaster Invitationals that, you know, were, you know, continuing, you know, to function within that realm there. And this operated very well, you know, extremely well, up until the point of when they started the Bassmaster Elite Series, you know, in 2005, I believe it was. That's when I got my invitation to fish it anyway. But then, you know, it did pretty well after that. But what has happened is the Bassmaster Elite Series has slowly evolved into something, you know, that's not even recognizable anymore. Because what has happened is, we've talked about this before, but so I don't want to rehash it a little bit. But basically, the advent of forward-facing sonar within Bassmaster has pushed out all of the legends of the sport, and it continues to do so. Most of the legends of the sport that really built this sport and had huge fan bases have either exited the sport or are in the process of exiting the sport, and it's being replaced by this generation of 20-something-year-old anglers that are completely relying on forward-facing sonar for their success. That is the basic gist of the situation. And what has happened to that is Bassmaster has alienated such a huge segment of their core membership and viewership, and denied the reality that they've done such in the process in order to appease electronic companies, in my opinion. It's the only reason that they've done it. And I've never really understood this, because if you look at the buying power demographic within the sport, the people that have the money to buy fishing tackle and boats and all of that type of stuff are the 45 to 70-year-old age group. It's not the 18 to 25-year-old age group. It's the 45-year-old plus anglers that have the bank in order to buy all these high-ticket items and lure manufacturers. And Bassmaster is alienating that very base by simply pushing out those anglers that those guys like to follow, in lieu of a bunch of people that nobody have ever heard before. And, creating this deal where now everybody that's in the top 10 on the Bassmaster Elite Series Angler of the Year list, nobody has ever heard of who they are, because they're all spotlighters. And I'm not trying to demean the people that have taken advantage of that, because they simply have taken advantage of the poor decision making that Bassmasters had forced them into. Bassmaster forced these younger anglers to do that. It's not their fault that they've done it. If Bassmaster would have done the right thing to begin with, banned forward-facing sonar 5 years ago, then those anglers wouldn't have been forced into the position they are now, which has directly undermined the entire prestige and the entire name brand of Bassmaster in the process, because they have turned bass fishing into something that is not even recognizable anymore. The days are gone of seeing specialists excel on the Bassmaster circuit. It's like the days are gone of seeing Greg Hackney flip a 1 ounce jig with braided line into Lake Okeechobee and win tournaments. The days are gone of seeing Kevin Van Dam speed crank a square bill crankbait and win a tournament. The days are gone of seeing David Fritz, triangulate an offshore piece of structure with a Pose 400 and win the tournament. The days are gone of seeing Steve Kennedy throw a 12-inch glide bait and win the tournament. I mean, the days are gone where people's creativity and ingenuity into expanding and finding out patterns unique to the seasonal movements and migration and personality and mood of the fish are gone. Now it's just relegated to somebody gets out there, turn on their forward-facing sonar unit, and they scan as much open water as they can with that, and they find one and say, there he is, oh, he's getting close, oh, there, he's got it. That's what pro fishing is. So Bassmaster has been their own worst enemy simply by not, banning that technology, and they're paying for it right now. Because I can promise you right now, if their business model was working, they wouldn't have $500 for 40th place in what is supposed to be the elitist circuit in professional fishing. That's an obvious, manifestation of that. And another thing with that is, if the sponsors they are courting are so good, and anglers cannot get behind any type of new sponsorship that Bassmaster may or may not get if it doesn't reflect in the payout, which it doesn't. So they have created this situation in which they've just completely hurt themselves with that. Now, what can be done about it? That's the main thing about it. We all know the problem that they're having. We all know how they have diminished the brand in the view of the public, whether people want to deny that or not. What can be done moving forward to improve this situation? A lot of different things can be done. The first thing that you do, like I said, is you get rid of that technology. You put equipment limitations on the anglers out there, just like it used to be 30 years ago. You limit these guys to 150 horsepower motors. You limit them to a boat that's no longer than 19 feet long. You limit them to one electronic unit on the console, one up front, 2D sonar, GPS mapping, that's all you get. And you tell these guys, you're the best in the world. You don't need technology to babysit you. You don't need to be hooked up to an umbilical cord of technology. Let's see how good you guys are, and you get out there and fish like a real bass fisherman does. Understand and find and refine the patterns based upon seasonal movements and habits of fish, And that doesn't have anything to do with you turning on a piece of technology and having that technology show you where that fish is at. So that's the first thing they can do. And that is basically the most important thing they can do. Because once you do that, the world resets itself, and the anglers that really deserve to be seen at the marquee level, the anglers that have mastered the craft and become true artists at specializing in different techniques, rise back to the top where experience takes over, and it resets itself where you don't have a bunch of 20-year-old rookies that nobody have ever heard of that are going out there and kicking the butts of Gerald Swindle and Greg Hackney and all the other pros out there. And then those anglers, those 20-year-old anglers, they have to come up the same way everybody else did. They have to pay their dues. They have to get years of experience in order to be able to compete at the top level. That's the way it should be. But right now we live in this upside down world where all that has been thrown on the heels. And you're seeing the evidence of that. You're seeing it in lost enthusiasm, in lost sponsorships, in the perception of the organization within the industry, the viewers, the fans, everything with that. So it's basically been a series of very poor managerial moves by people that don't fish. One of the things that you guys have to understand is these guys that are making the decisions within Bassmaster, they're not tournament fishermen. They don't understand the reality of what it is to be a tournament fisherman. The rules and the format, and to a large degree the business model within bass, needs to be filtered through the eyes of veteran tournament anglers, because they're the ones that know. They're the ones that deal with sponsors every day, and they have for decades. They know the challenges and the concerns of the tournament angler. They know what is best. But right now, we have seen it evident in how everything has went down, that we have a lot of people within that organization that have made some extremely poor business decisions on every level out there. I mean, why do you think that 60% of or 70% of the Bassmaster Elite Series pros deflected over to MLF years ago when they had the split? If it was all that great at Bassmaster, do you think they would have left? No. Kevin Van Dam left, the greatest angler in the sport. What does that tell you? So anyway, until people can get their egos out of the way and humble themselves and say, hey, look, we don't know everything. You know, let's get some good advice. Look, let's put some people in here that have some critical thinking skills within the industry and understand the nuances of the industry on all different levels. It's not going to get any better. But it just makes me sad to see what has happened to Bassmaster. For somebody like myself that I was so embedded and so ingrained. I mean, I was close personal friends with Jerry McInnes within Bassmaster for years. I was close friends with Ray Scott, all the guys within Bass from the back in the good old days. And to see where it's become right now is it makes me sick. It makes all the other veteran pros sick too. Nobody's happy about it. So hopefully, you know, those people out there that are in the positions to do that, it's not too late. They can turn it around, you know, anytime that they want to, but obviously they haven't chosen to do so. So until they do, it's going to continue to, you know, the organization and the stock within the organization is going to continue to go downhill. And I like to think that maybe this is just like a little temporary hiccup in the history of Bassmaster, and that the ship will right itself. But in order to do that, some decisions have to be made and some changes have to be made. So let me know what you guys think about it. We'll talk later. See you guys.